Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. Apologies, there wasn't a video last week. Life has just sort of caught up with me. I have been extremely busy outside of YouTube, just with life events really. And yeah, it's calmed down a little bit now, but I have been very, very busy, quite stressed actually. And yeah, I just haven't been able to focus my mind on doing YouTube videos and being in the garage. I just literally haven't had the time to do it. But things are a little bit more settled down now. There's some big changes coming up in my personal life, but I'll talk about that closer to the time. Today's video, we are on Project Bruce again. There's a lot of little nitty bitty bits I need to sort out before we get stuck into it. I do need to pump up all the tyres because they're all a little bit deflated where it's been sitting outside. I need to retorque the head. So I've done the head gasket, everything seems to be fine now. I've run it for a couple of heat cycles. It's not pressurising, there's no combustion leaks. I'm pretty confident it's going to be okay. So I need to retorque the head and put antifreeze in that for the winter now. Fingers crossed that'll be fine. When it comes to retorquing the head, lots of people do it in different ways. Generally, I'll put the head gasket on, take it for a drive cycle, heat cycle, and then I'll retorque it. I'm not able to take it for a drive because it's not taxed and MOT'd. So I've run it for a couple of heat cycles. I let it cool down completely and then I'll retorque the head, put antifreeze in it, and that should be that job done on it. I also need to clean up the offside front the driver's side floor well. It's got a load of silent coat or dynamat on it, and I'm just worried that behind that it's hiding rust or corrosion. So I'm going to clean that up and see what we find. I don't want to go to all the hassle of doing all the seals and everything like that and then finding out it's going to fail the MOT on the floor pans. So I'm going to do that in today's video. There might be some other bits and bobs I'm doing. Another update as well, I've decided to sell one of the cars. Now, Project Bruce is always for sale. Like I say, I'm just doing that for the channel really. I'm not into it for making money out of it, tighten it up to look like a show car. It's literally just clean it up, flip it, get it a new MOT, get it roadworthy, get it in good condition so I can pass it on to a viewer, subscriber, and they can do all of those nice bits and personalise it themselves. But the other cars, so Project Sprout, PL and Project TARDIS, the Mayfair, I've decided to sell one of them. One, I need to make some space, and two, I just need to free up a bit of a cash early on next year. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to sell. I did think I might put all three up for sale and just see which one goes first. What would you do? Which car would you sell? I love them all to bits, but it just doesn't make sense having three. It really doesn't. I mean, even if my wife, Angie, is taxed, MOT'd, insured to drive one of the cars, I can only drive two. So yeah, and I need to free up some cash, and there's no point me borrowing money when I've got assets sitting around me. So let me know which one you would sell. It's very, very hard to put a price on them as well. I don't quite know what I'm going to do there. Again, let me know what you think. So based on what I see other people selling similar cars for, and appreciate they're not always sold for that price, they are advertised for that price. I think the Project Sprout is probably worth up to about £12,000. I think Project TARDIS, the Mayfair, up to about £10,000. And probably the hardest to price is a Cooper S Sport 5 because they are so rare. I don't think anyone knows the exact numbers, but I think there's less than 30 in existence. I think that's probably worth up to about 15, but I honestly don't know. The market does go up and down, and I think it's on a bit of a downer at the moment. So it might be better for me just to wait until next year to sell one of them. But let me know what you think. Anyway, I've waffled on for quite a bit. We really should get into this week's video. So thanks for tuning back in. Apologies for not uploading next week. Let's get stuck into a bit of work on Project Bruce. Right, so this is what we've got in here. The floor looks pretty solid. The other side has got no sound deadening on it. But this side has. It's all sort of gummed up there. It's like dynamat or silent coat. So I'm just worried that underneath here is a bit of rot. I can't understand why they'd have just done that area there, unless maybe it has been weld repaired in the past and they've just put that there as an extra bit of sound deadening. So we're gonna I say we are, I am going to get all this out. The first thing I'm going to do is score around the edges, because this stuff breaks off in chunks, to be honest. And if you want it nice and neat, score around the edges, and then when you break the chunks off, it gives you a nice straight line to go up against. There is a bit of corrosion down here, so I'm suspecting I might find that this is hiding something, but we will wait and see. Now, the best way to get this off. Now, I'm sure, guaranteed, unless I say it, someone's going to go in the comments and say, you don't want to do it like this, you want to do it like that. Like the old Harry Enfield sketch, if you're old enough to remember that. And I'm sure they'll say, use dry ice. Dry ice works brilliantly. Put dry ice on there, score it around, hit it with a hammer from underneath, and it just all shatters. Unfortunately, dry ice is not very easy to get hold of. It's not the sort of thing I just have sitting around in the workshop. So I'm going to have to do it the difficult way. I appreciate it's probably quicker with dry ice and it's probably easier. And I may be able to buy some freeze spray in a can. I'm doing it with what I have today in the workshop. So I will be using scrapers and chisels and hammers just to get it all off. So let's get this all cleaned up and see if there's any horrors hidden underneath. Right, so there we go. That was a messy job. It was worth doing though, because it was hiding some horrors. So underneath all that sound insulation, it has been welded in the past. Not too badly, to be fair. I've seen worse, but sometimes restoring a Mini, it's almost like being an archaeologist. You've got to excavate the various different layers to find out a bit of history about the car and what's being done. So like I say, that sound deadening was hiding what is, someone's fitted like probably about a third of this offside front floor pan. And it's not just a piece of metal, they've had a floor pan and they've obviously cut it out to shape. It's not welded on great, as you can see in this bit here. The welds, if I start, I can almost sort of peel back the welds. It's not, I've seen worse welding, but it's not fantastic. And there's a pretty significant overlap as well. So the overlap on the floor is a good inch here, which I can feel underneath, which is not great at all, because that is just a massive water trap there. And what they've done here, I think at the front, is they've just laid it over. So you've actually got about 2 or 3 layers here. And as you can see, even this new floor pan, where this has been replaced, the new metal has started to corrode as well. There you go, look at that. And that's just where water's got between the layers. So if you're going to weld in a patch or a new section of metal like that, it's always better to completely cut out, have no overlaps in it, and then continuously seam weld around the outside. I mean, if it's a patch, it should be continuously seam welded anyway, but the reason that's gone like that is because there's multiple layers there for corrosion. We've also got a repair up on the inner flitch panel here, in that inner wheel arch. Again, this overlaps on the inside by probably a good ½ an inch overlap there. Can we see the weld line? No, we can't. So to repair this will have to come out from about there. The toe board will have to come out from the bottom, and then I might do the same, go halfway up here, or I might just go the whole way back. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I'm not sure. I might just go the whole way back, because it's the same amount of welding, to be honest, or pretty much the same. So I'll order a floor pan anyway. It is going to be a little bit tricky on this side, because it needs seals replacing. The seal is not actually corroded on this side, it's solid, but it's an overseal. So I guess in theory I don't need to do this seal, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's an overseal. Seals are not that expensive. But obviously if I cut the whole seal out and then I cut the floor pan out, and then a bit of the inner wheel arch, that's a lot of metal to take out the car in one hit. So I'll have to think carefully about how I do that. I might only cut out the part of the overseal to allow me to replace the floor pan, get the floor pan replaced, and then cut further back to do a new outer seal. That's what I'm going to do, I think. Yeah. And that outer seal I don't reckon has been welded on particularly well, because it's welded around about here, but all the original sound deadening is still in the car, so I reckon it's only been tacked on. In fact, I'm sure of it. I can see a little tack there. Does that coincide with a join? Yeah, I reckon that overseal has just been tacked on underneath. So until I get that off, I might find that the original seal's behind there as well. So not great. I guess it's a bit of a bodged repair, but you know, I wonder how long ago it was done. Probably a fair few years ago for this to have corroded back through again. And you never know how much someone was charged to do that. Someone might have been doing a favour for a mate. It might have been just enough to get it through the MOT for another year. I never really like to criticise other people's work unless I know more about it. Look at that, that's yeah, just layers upon layers there. Cool, right, next job. Right, we're going to re-torque the head now. Like I say, it's gone through a couple of heat cycles. First thing we want to make sure is that the system is not pressurised at all. So it's not. We'll whip the rocker cover off. And we're just going to re-torque to the original torque specifications. No need to do it any tighter. And all we're going to do is follow the original tightening sequence. We're only ever doing one head stud at a time. Slacken it off about half a turn. And then we just need to bring it back to torque, and it should be in one movement. And there we go, they're all re-torqued down, torqued back to spec. Stick the rocker cover gasket back on now. Right, so there we go. I think that's it for Project Bruce for the moment. Good to get a little bit done today. I haven't been on it for ages actually, so good to make a bit of a start. Just as a reminder, if you're laying your minis up for winter, especially if it's a later MPI or an SPI mini, it's worth fully charging the battery and disconnecting it before you lay it up. So these MPI minis, certainly what I find with both of mine, they'll go flat after a couple of months, even if the battery's in perfect condition and fully charged. And that is because they have a very slight parasitic drain on them from things like the ECU and the clock, and they will naturally drain down a little bit. A couple of months is about all I can leave them for. Older minis like my Mayfair, I'd leave that 6 months at least, if not more, and the battery is always fully charged on that. It's just because it doesn't have anything that's going to drain the battery down. But the MPIs definitely, and it's good practice to do it anyway, because even if the battery doesn't go completely flat and it only goes partially flat, once it drops below sort of 12.5 volts, it does start to damage the battery. The battery starts to sulfate, and that sulfation can, basically cause the battery to die prematurely. One last mention on Project Bruce. So I am going to replace the whole front end on Project Bruce, which when you look at it actually from a few feet away, you might think, well, that's mad, because it looks pretty solid. It doesn't look like it's got loads of rust in it or anything like that. However, this wing has been replaced at some point, and they have welded it on in the wrong place. I don't know if it was badly fitting, but you'll notice there's quite a big gap there between the wing and the scuttle panel, and the actual when you look inside of the inner wing, they've welded it on too far out that way. The scuttle looks pretty solid on it. I think we'll be fine. The bonnet looks fine, but when you start to look closely beneath the headlights, although it doesn't look really rusty, I can tell you just by looking, this is full of filler. This has been pugged up and full of filler in the past, and it's just starting to bubble up and come through. The front panel is really bent and twisted. I'm not sure how well that will show on the video, but the front panel's bent and twisted. Yeah. The wing on this side, again, all underneath this headlight is full of filler, and probably the worst bit is the front panel. Now, I've not seen a Mini go like this before, but let's try and get down low enough. So can you see here, there are just loads of holes. Let me grab a light. So it is just peppered with holes in the bottom of this front panel, and it's been patched up before, and in fact it's rusted through the patch. So it's got a big patch here, it's holed around the corner there. It's completely wrecked, and for MOT that'll be classed as the front teardrop mounts will be classed as a steering suspension mounting, I'm guessing, and that's going to be within the prescribed area for corrosion. It's been patched up once before, there's no point patching it again. There's no point just fitting a front panel because this is full of filler up here, so there'll be nothing to weld to. So that is probably going to add quite a bit onto the overall cost. So we're talking a full front end, pair of front wings, front panel, A panels. I think the scuttle panel's fine. Probably closing panels inside, bit of work on the flitch panels maybe. There's probably £500 worth of panels there, if I go for genuine ones, which I think I probably will do. So yeah, the main reason I'm changing the front end is the corrosion under headlights, because that's just all going to come through really quickly, and that front panel completely and utterly knackered. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. I'm really close to 10,000 viewers. I thought I would be comfortably there this year, but it seems to have slowed down a little bit. So if you watch the videos and you can subscribe, I would really appreciate your subscription. So thanks for tuning in this week. Catch you again next time.